History remembers the headlines, we find the bylines, this is the unsung. Imagine a world without traffic lights. Not just the red and green, but that crucial yellow light, the one that tells you to slow down, to prepare to stop. It's a simple, life-saving invention we see every day, but its origin story is anything but simple. It's a story of genius, tragedy, and a fight against a society that refused to see the man behind the innovation. Turn back the clock to the early 1920s. America's cities are a symphony of chaos. Horses and carriages clash with the new sputtering automobiles. Pedestrians dart across streets with no clear rules. At intersections, the only signals are a simple stop and go, often manually operated. Collisions are frequent and often fatal. One day, at a particularly busy corner in Cleveland, Ohio, a man named Garrett Morgan witnessed a horrific crash. An automobile collided with a horse-drawn carriage, ejecting a young girl and her mother onto the pavement. The scene was pure pandemonium. For most, it was just another tragic, unavoidable accident, but for Morgan, it was a problem to be solved. He saw the flaw in the system. The abrupt switch from go to stop gave drivers no time to react. He knew there had to be a better way. In that moment of chaos, a clear vision formed in his mind, a third signal, a warning position. It would halt traffic in all directions, giving the intersection a moment to clear before the flow of traffic changed. It was a revolutionary idea, born from a desire to bring order and safety to the deadly streets. But who was this man, this visionary inventor? Garrett Augustus Morgan was born in Kentucky in 1877, the son of formerly enslaved parents. With only a sixth-grade education, he left his rural home as a teenager and headed north to Ohio, hungry for opportunity. He was a natural mechanic, a tinkerer with an insatiable curiosity. His first job was as a handyman, but he quickly taught himself the inner workings of the sewing machines he was hired to repair. He didn't just fix them, he improved them. This talent led him to open his own sewing machine repair and tailor shop in 1907. It was a resounding success. Morgan was not just a brilliant inventor. He was a sharp entrepreneur. He expanded his businesses, even launching a newspaper, the Cleveland Call, which became an influential voice for the city's African-American community. He was a pillar of his community, a self-made man who defied the era's crushing limitations on Black Americans. Before he turned his attention to traffic, Morgan was already working on another life-saving device. The early 20th century was the age of industrialization, but also of industrial disasters. Factory fires were common, and firefighters were often overcome by thick, toxic smoke. Morgan recognized the need for a breathing apparatus. In 1914, he patented what he called the safety hood. It was a simple but ingenious canvas hood with two long tubes that draped down to the floor. The design was based on a simple scientific principle: smoke and toxic gases rise, leaving a layer of cleaner, breathable air near the ground. A wet sponge inside the hood would cool the air and filter out some of the smoke. It was a primitive gas mask, but it was effective. He had created something that could save the lives of firefighters, chemists, and engineers. 2 years later, his invention would face its ultimate test. On July 25, 1916, disaster struck Cleveland. A natural gas explosion ripped through a tunnel being dug 50 feet beneath Lake Erie. A thick, noxious cloud of smoke, gas, and dust filled the tunnel, trapping more than 30 workers. The first two rescue teams who descended into the shaft were immediately overcome by the fumes and never came back up. The situation was desperate. The tunnel was becoming a tomb. Someone remembered hearing about Garrett Morgan and his strange safety hood. In the middle of the night, Morgan was roused from his bed and rushed to the scene. When he arrived, the scene was chaos and despair. Officials and professional rescuers were hesitant to trust this black man and his homemade device. But with lives ticking away, they had no other choice. Without hesitation, Garrett Morgan and his brother Frank put on their safety hoods and descended into the toxic darkness. The air was thick and unbreathable, but the hoods worked. They navigated the debris-filled tunnel, located the trapped men, and began the arduous process of carrying them out, one by one. Morgan made 4 harrowing trips into that deadly tunnel, pulling survivors from the brink of death. He was a hero. His invention had worked flawlessly under the most extreme conditions imaginable. The morning papers, however, told a different story. The initial headlines celebrated the heroic rescue, but they omitted a crucial detail: Garrett Morgan's name. The city's officials, embarrassed that a black man had succeeded where their own rescue teams had failed, tried to write him out of the story. They credited others and downplayed his role. The racial prejudice was so strong that it nearly erased his bravery from the historical record. The very city that Morgan had helped save refused to fully acknowledge him. The publicity he should have received for his heroism, which would have boosted sales for his safety hood, never materialized. Instead, his association with the device in the minds of the racist public actually hurt sales. This experience taught Morgan a harsh lesson about the reality of being a black inventor in America. When it came time to market his inventions, he knew he couldn't be the face of his own genius. For his traffic signal, he had to get creative. He filed the patent in 1923, but when he demonstrated it at conventions and trade shows, he sometimes hired a white actor to pose as the inventor while he stood by, pretending to be a mere assistant. It was a painful, degrading strategy, but it worked. Orders started coming in. Eventually, recognizing the sheer brilliance and necessity of the three-position signal, the industrial giant General Electric bought the patent rights from Morgan for the then staggering sum of $40,000. GE's manufacturing and distribution power made Morgan's invention the standard across the country, and eventually the world. That yellow light we all take for granted became a universal symbol of caution and safety, all thanks to a man who was forced to hide in the shadows of his own creation. Garrett Morgan's story is more than just a tale of two brilliant inventions. It's a testament to the power of perseverance in the face of overwhelming prejudice. He saw problems and engineered solutions that saved countless lives. The safety hood laid the groundwork for the gas masks used by soldiers in World War I and by firefighters to this day. His traffic signal continues to prevent accidents at millions of intersections around the globe. Yet for decades, his name was largely forgotten, a footnote in the grand narrative of American innovation. His story is a powerful reminder of the countless unsung heroes, the brilliant minds whose contributions were overlooked or deliberately erased because of the color of their skin. By remembering Garrett Morgan, we don't just honor a great inventor. We reclaim a vital piece of our shared history. Thank you for watching The Unsung. There are so many stories like this one, waiting to be told. Subscribe to our channel to help us find more bylines hidden behind the headlines.